Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something that's way more common than you might think, but also one of the most misunderstood sexual interests out there. And we're going to set aside all the judgment and just dive right into the science of it.
Okay, let's just start with a number. And honestly, it's a big one. 58%. According to research, a staggering 58% of men have fantasized about sharing their partner. So right off the bat, we know this isn't some fringe thing. It's an incredibly widespread fantasy. So that kind of begs the question, right? If nearly 6 out of 10 guys have had this thought cross their mind, why is the whole topic wrapped up in so much confusion and stigma? What's really going on here? To figure that out, we're going to look at the actual psychological and, biological reasons that can lead to this specific kind of arousal. This isn't about debating whether it's right or wrong. It's about understanding the fascinating mechanics of human desire. Okay, so let's get into it. And we're going to start way back with our oldest programming, our basic evolutionary instincts. So this is where it gets really interesting. There's this powerful ancient trigger called sperm competition theory. And the idea is pretty simple. When a man's brain even perceives a rival, his body instinctively kicks into gear to compete. This causes real physiological changes and, you guessed it, often super intense arousal. And in a safe, consensual context, that ancient threat response gets totally rewired into pure erotic energy. I mean, this quote from a study participant just says it all. He describes how that primal drive translates into this incredibly heightened sexual experience. But let's switch gears, because for a lot of men, the appeal has nothing to do with competition. In fact, it's the total opposite. It's about the surprising psychology of power and, surrender. For many, the path to arousal is actually through giving up control. This can tap into masochism, where pleasure gets directly linked to submission or even psychological humiliation, which, can sound like a total paradox on the surface. But here's the key. The psychologist Roy Baumeister had this theory that it's not actually about pain. It's about something way more profound, a powerful escape from self-awareness. It's a chance to just turn off the ego, the responsibilities, that nagging inner critic for a little while. And this quote just illustrates that perfectly, especially for high achievers. I mean, if you're someone who carries this immense weight of responsibility all day long, the act of completely letting go isn't degrading at all. It's this incredible form of psychological release. It's freedom. And there's another kind of freedom here, too. Think about it. By shifting from being an active participant to more of an observer, all that classic anxiety about sexual performance, lasting long enough, satisfying your partner, all of that can just melt away, leaving nothing but pure arousal. But okay, it's not always about competition or power. For a lot of men, the motivation is actually rooted in a really deep, empathetic connection with their partner. This brings us to a really powerful emotion called compersion. And you can basically think of it as the polar opposite of jealousy. It's the genuine happiness you feel from watching someone you love experience joy. So instead of feeling threatened or possessive, guys who experience compersion feel this wave of empathetic joy. Seeing their partner experience intense pleasure becomes arousing for them. It completely flips what our culture says should be a threat into this shared, positive, and really hot emotional experience. And what's wild is that exploring this often leads to what some researchers call the trust paradox. Because to navigate these really complex emotions, couples have to communicate with radical honesty. And that process, as tough as it can be, often ends up building a level of intimacy and trust that's way deeper than what they even had before. So as you're probably starting to see, there's no single, simple why for this. The reality is, as always, way more complex and, honestly, a lot more fascinating. It's really a whole spectrum of motivations. We've talked about the big three, that biological competition, the psychological surrender, and that empathetic joy. But arousal can also come from the simple thrill of watching, the excitement of breaking a huge social taboo, the desire for something new, or even finding a way to make jealousy itself erotic. And here's the thing. It's almost never just one of these. For most people, it's a unique cocktail of these different psychological drivers. And that personal recipe, it can totally change and evolve throughout your life. But, and this is a really big but, it is absolutely crucial to say this only works in a healthy, stable relationship that's built on a foundation of trust and fantastic communication.
If there's any coercion, or if it's being used to try and fix problems that are already there, it can be incredibly damaging.
So when you boil it all down, the main point is this. None of these motivations are wrong or a sign of weakness. They are simply different, totally valid ways that human beings can experience desire, arousal, and connection with each other.
Which kind of leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Maybe the real question isn't why are some people into this, but rather, why have we, as a culture, been so afraid to just try and understand the incredible, amazing diversity of human desire?